Meet Yanagi Hayato, a high schooler who looks like your average, unmotivated student. But today he's got a tiny problem. A massive, bloodthirsty ogre is blocking his way. Most people would scream, but Hayato, he's just worried about being late for class. He even tries to bribe the beast with some tea just to get off the hook. The ogre isn't interested in tea, though. It lunges forward with a deafening roar, its massive fist ready to crush the boy. But Hayato doesn't even flinch. He simply clenches his fist, muttering a single word. Mars. One punch. That's all it takes. Hayato sends the giant monster flying, leaving it a bloody mess on the pavement. He doesn't even look back, casually walking away while wondering if his next drink should be coffee. Talk about being nonchalant. Welcome to Cyan High School. In this world, the chalkboard isn't just for math. It's for a society obsessed with power formulas. While the teacher drones on about applying energy equations, most students are just trying to survive the hierarchy. And there he is, our hero Yanagi Hayato, fast asleep in the middle of class. To his classmates, he's just a lazy first year with zero ambition. His only concern seems to be the fluffy dream he was just having. The teacher isn't having it today. He hauls Hayato up by his collar, shocking the poor boy awake. Hayato blinks, completely out of it, still thinking he's at a pet shop instead of a classroom. The contrast between his secret, godlike power and this pathetic school life is honestly hilarious. Snap! The teacher loses it and kicks him out into the hall. As Hayato walks away, he can hear the whispers. In this school, being someone with zero ability score is like being a social pariah. His classmates don't just ignore him. They look down on him with pure disdain. Then comes Tanaka Ryo, the class big shot. With a smug grin, he mocks Hayato for even daring to be in the same room as ability users. In his eyes, Hayato is nothing more than a joke, a glitch in a world where power is everything. You see, 100 years ago, everything changed. Aberrant monsters appeared out of nowhere, and the only ones who could fight back were the newly awakened ability users. It turned the world into a game where your score determines your worth as a human. To keep order, the government formed elite groups like the Special Countermeasures Unit, or SCU. They're the celebrities of this world, the heroes who protect the weak from the monsters lurking in the shadows. But for someone like Hayato, they're just another part of a system he wants no part of. Back at school, the bullying doesn't stop. Tanaka and his lackeys corner Hayato, ordering him to go get them drinks like he's their personal servant. They don't see a boy. They just see a loser they can push around. Tanaka decides to flex his muscles, literally. He summons a flame in his hand, showing off his impressive score of 5,058. He tells Hayato to accept his place as a slave, because in this world, a powerless zero has no right to say no. Hayato, being his usual indifferent self, just points out that using powers like that is against school rules. He even threatens to tell the teacher, which only makes Tanaka more furious. The bully threatens to blast him, but Hayato doesn't even blink. He's seen scarier things before breakfast. At the vending machine, Hayato reflects on the reality of this world. Tanaka's 5,000 score might be high for a student, but the real pros in the SCU have scores in the hundreds of thousands. Compared to them, everyone in this school is just playing pretend. Hayato juggles the drinks with practiced ease, his mind on his own score. A perfect 0. He plays the part of the useless and unwanted student perfectly, but there's a quiet confidence in his eyes that suggests he's anything but powerless. He delivers the drinks without a word of complaint. He knows that in the eyes of society, a 0 is just an object of contempt. But Hayato isn't looking for respect. He's just looking to finish his day and go home. School is finally over. Hayato heads back to the one place where his score doesn't matter. As he opens the door to his house, he leaves the judgmental world behind and returns to the life he actually cares about. Waiting for him is Yanagi Ao, his energetic and adorable younger sister. She greets him with a warm smile, the kind of welcome that makes all the bullying at school feel like it happened a million miles away. The two of them settle in, sharing snacks and catching up on their day. It's a peaceful, normal sibling dynamic, exactly the kind of life Hayato is working so hard to protect. Even as they joke about their snacks, you can feel the bond between them. Hayato puts on his usual mask, lying to Ao about having a perfect high school life. He claims he's just living the dream, even as he mentions getting chewed out by the popular kids. But Ao isn't fooled. She knows her brother better than anyone. Ao gets serious, asking him if it isn't time he stopped hiding it. She can't stand seeing him being treated like a loser when she knows the truth. But Hayato just gives her a wink and a smile, insisting that his everyday life is nothing to complain about. He tries to deflect her concern by talking about his fluffy friends, the animals he visits to cheer himself up. He acts like a carefree dork, but Ao's expression remains pained. She hates seeing her brother diminish himself for the sake of a quiet life. Then, she says it. The real reason Hayato is a 0. It's not because he's weak. It's because his ability is so insanely powerful that it glitched the entire testing system. His score of 0 is nothing more than a massive display error. He's not below the system. He's far beyond it. The truth is finally out. Hayato isn't just an ordinary student. He possesses a transcendent ability. It allows him to sublimate into any form of existence, essentially turning him into a living god. It's a power so vast it could rewrite reality, yet he carries that burden in absolute silence. But there's a heavy reason for this charade. In a society where scores are everything, revealing his true strength would spark global chaos. More importantly, he knows Ao would be the first one caught in the crossfire just for being his sister. He's made his choice. He'll accept the world's contempt and the 0 label, all to protect the one person he loves. Ao looks down, her heart heavy. She knows her brother is a literal god, yet here he is, choosing to be the world's punching bag. But Yanagi Hayato just gives her a calm look. To him, being a powerless 0 is a small price to pay for the one thing that truly matters. In a world this crazy, where monsters can drop from the sky at any second, Yanagi Hayato has his priorities straight. Fame? Power? He doesn't care about any of it. To him, the peace and safety of his family are the most important things in existence. That smile says it all. He'd do anything to keep this life normal. All Siegs. Finally, Heilenching. She gets it, but she still worries. As Hayato heads out, she pleads with him not to push himself too hard. He just gives her a playful wave, telling her not to be so serious. It's their usual routine, a dance between a protective sister and a brother with a secret that could shake the heavens. The next day, Yanagi Hayato is a man on a mission. Is he off to save the world? Nope. He's at a date with Sally, a puppy from the pet shop. He shows off her picture on his phone, glowing with more excitement than when he punched that ogre. For Hayato, this is what he lives for. Ao watches him leave, half amused and half exasperated. She jokingly asks Sally to take care of her brother. But the peaceful morning is shattered by a breaking news alert. A monster has appeared, and the world is about to get a lot louder. A D-rank monster has emerged near the shopping mall, and the entire area is being locked down. The evacuation zone is expanding rapidly, and entry is strictly prohibited. And wouldn't you know it, Yanagi Hayato is standing right there at the police tape, looking completely devastated. He's not scared, though. He's just annoyed. He's been looking forward to this day for a week. As the guards announce that the evacuation is complete, Hayato stands there scratching his head. Everyone, he mutters, a seed of doubt planting itself in his mind. His thoughts immediately go to Sally and the other animals. He corners a guard, asking if the pet shop was evacuated too. The guard, looking stressed, can't give him a straight answer. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the mall, sending debris flying and the crowd into a panic. While everyone else is running away, Yanagi Hayato's eyes turn sharp. The explosion came from deep inside the mall, and something feels wrong. He decides to take a look himself, slipping away from the crowd. If the pros won't check on Sally, he will. The mall is dark, a ghost town of shattered glass and looming shadows. In the silence, a giant, predatory eye flickers open. Something massive is lurking in the ruins, watching, waiting. The air is thick with a murderous intent that would make a normal person faint. Hayato moves through the wreckage, his senses dialed up to 11. He can feel it, an aura completely different from the weak monster outside. There's something else in here, something much, much stronger. And it's not just Sally he has to worry about. He stops dead. Among the smoke and dust, he spots a small figure. It's a child, lost and terrified, standing right in the path of the beast. Hayato closes his eyes for a brief second, the weight of the situation settling on his shoulders. He can't just walk away now. With a sigh, Hayato hops over the barrier, his movements fluid and precise. In the distance, a massive claw crushes the floor. The little girl stands paralyzed as the shadow of a nightmare falls over her. The D-rank threat the news mentioned? It was a lie. This is something much worse. The monster stands tall, a hulking, armored beast with glowing eyes and pipes jutting from its back like cannons. It's a living weapon, and the little girl can only stare up in horror. She whispers a single word. Monster. It's a death sentence, and the beast is ready to carry it out. The pipes on the monster's back begin to glow, charging up with lethal energy. This isn't just a beast that bites, it's a siege engine. The air hums with the sound of impending destruction as it prepares to fire point blank. The monster fires. A blinding flash of light erupts as the little girl screams, shielding her eyes. It should be the end, but in the heart of the explosion, something or someone intervenes. Chaos reigns as the building shakes from the impact. Dust clears, and there he is. Yanagi Hayato has swooped in, shielding the child with his own body. The girl is in shock, but she's unhurt. Hayato doesn't waste time, his eyes already scanning the area for more threats as he makes sure his unexpected guest is okay. Hayato gently tells the girl that everyone else has evacuated and she needs to get going too. She looks up at him, tears in her eyes, and whispers a tiny thank you before running for her life. Now the mask slips. Hayato turns back to the monster, his expression turning cold. Now it's just you. This isn't a D-rank grunt. This is Ravana, a B-rank monster capable of destroying entire cities. It controls the orbs floating around its body like deadly satellites. To most, this is a death sentence. To Yanagi Hayato, it's just an annoyance. Hayato is genuinely pissed off now. He was supposed to spend his day with Sally, his source of comfort. But this beast dared to interrupt his one moment of peace. He clenches his fist, his aura beginning to shift. This monster has no idea who it just messed with. Ravana roars, a sound that should shatter glass and bone. But Hayato just looks at it with a chilling smile. Prepare yourself, he mutters. The air around him begins to crackle with an ancient, terrifying power. The hunt is on. As Hayato activates his power, the shadows behind him twist and reform. A giant, armored figure with a massive spear manifests, the godlike spirit of Mars. The presence is overwhelming, a divine pressure that makes the B-rank monster look like a common insect. Mars, he commands. The impact is absolute. Ravana tries to strike, but Hayato, or rather, the power of Mars, shatters the floor and the monster's resolve in a single motion. The city destroyer is being dismantled, its orbs and cannons useless against the sheer scale of Hayato's hidden strength. Ravana screams in agony and shock, its glowing eyes wide with disbelief as it realizes it's facing a power that shouldn't exist. The armored figure of Mars looms over it, a silent executioner waiting for the final word. The beast's reign of terror is over, but for Hayato, the real challenge is finishing this before his secret is out. Sensing the special countermeasures unit closing in, Hayato knows he has to end this farce immediately. With a bored expression, he begins to concentrate, his aura shifting as he prepares to transcend his human limits. He's about to unleash the true essence of his power, a force that blurs the line between man and God. This is the true nature of Yanagi Hayato's power. By channeling the essence of a god, his physical limits vanish and his senses sharpen to a razor's edge. He's not just strong, he's becoming something else entirely. One of the many divine existences he can sublimate into. Among all the beings he can become with his transcender ability, the gods are his most potent tools. He doesn't just borrow their strength, he wields their very authority. With a calm gaze, Hayato prepares to unleash a force that this world hasn't seen in centuries. Star-piercing. With a single, explosive thrust, Hayato strikes. The divine power of Mars tears through ravenous armor, and its deadly orbs like they were made of paper. The air screams as the monster is literally dismantled in a heartbeat. This isn't a fight, it's an execution. Ravenous mouth hangs open in a final, silent roar of disbelief. Its glowing eyes fade as its core is shattered. Hayato's fist still glows with the lingering embers of divine fire, a quiet testament to the absolute power he just unleashed. It's over. One blow was all it took. Silence returns to the ruins of them all. Ravana, the city-destroying B-rank monster, lies defeated at the feet of a high schooler in a hoodie. Hayato stands there, the dust settling around him, looking more like a bored teenager than a godslayer. The threat that terrified the city has been erased in seconds. Hayato blinks, looking around at the massive crater he just created. "Did I overdo it a little?" he mutters. Suddenly, his ears twitch. The area is getting noisy. The pros are finally here. He needs to ditch the divine hero act and go back to being a useless hero before anyone sees him. He turns to leave, but he's too late. Heavy boots crunch on the debris behind him. Hayato freezes as three powerful presences close in. The special countermeasures unit has arrived on the scene, and they've already spotted the lone figure standing in the middle of the carnage. Meet the monster-slaying specialists of the SCU. Led by the energetic Hattori Suzuna, the unit stops dead in their tracks. Their eyes widen as they look past the boy to the remains of Ravana. A B-rank monster, taken down in a single blow? It's impossible, yet the evidence is right in front of them. The dragon crest on their uniforms gleams in the light, the mark of the world's elite protectors. They can't believe their eyes. This level of destruction usually takes an entire battalion. But here lies a legendary beast, silenced by a force they can't even identify. Their gazes immediately snap back to the only person at the scene, Hayato. Kurosaka Ryoko, the serious and sharp-eyed member of the trio, steps forward. She demands to know who Hayato is. "Are you just a civilian who got left behind?" she asks, her voice cold and suspicious. Hayato immediately puts on his scared teenager act, holding up his hands in surrender. "No, I was just—" But before he can finish, Hattori Suzuna lunges forward with a grin. She's the energetic one of the bunch, and she isn't taking any chances. "We are taking you into custody," she cheers, her blades flashing as she moves with blinding speed. Poor Hayato looks like he's about to have a heart attack. At least, that's what he wants them to think. The SCU members are in total shock. They look at the massive monster, then back at the shaking boy. They can't reconcile the two. How could a civilian survive being this close to a B-rank? Or worse, could he be the one who killed it? The tension is thick enough to cut with a sword. Suzuna is all business, her movements a blur of pink hair and sharp steel. She circles Hayato like a predator, her eyes locked on his every move. "We're taking you in," she repeats. She's fast, really fast, but to Hayato, she might as well be moving through molasses. He just has to make sure he doesn't react. Serenji Reika, the red-haired backup, stands back with her arms crossed. She's convinced he's just a straggler. "I bet he's just a civilian who got left behind," she scoffs. Meanwhile, Ryoko remains on high alert, her hand never leaving her katana. They're a well-oiled machine, even when they're confused. Hayato desperately tries to de-escalate. "Wait. If you'll just look at this, you'll understand," he stammers. But Suzuna is enjoying her moment. She tells her teammates to stay back and watch, boasting that she can handle this dangerous suspect all by herself. She's showing off, unaware that she's playing with a dormant volcano. In an instant, Suzuna teleports behind Hayato, her blades crossed at his neck. "No suspicious movements," she warns with a triumphant smirk. Hayato acts completely stunned. "So fast. Was that teleportation?" he thinks, playing the part of the impressed commoner perfectly. Inside, He's probably just wondering when he can go home. Hayato slowly reaches for his phone, making sure Suzuna can see his every move. I was just trying to show you the ability score on my phone, he explains timidly. Suzuna blinks, her suspicion turning into curiosity. Score? What do you mean by that? She asks, leaning in closer. This is where the comedy begins. Reika pulls out an official scanner to get a more accurate reading. Our scanner is better, she says, aiming the device at Hayato. A loud beep rings out, and the result flashes on the screen. 0. The SCU members freeze. A 0. Suzuna gasps. So, he's an unawakened? They look at him like he's a rare, defenseless animal. Whoa, he's like a protected species. The tension immediately evaporates. The girls lower their weapons, feeling a bit embarrassed for bullying a powerless civilian. Reika teases Suzuna for being a little quick on the draw. See? Told you. He's just some straggler who got left behind. Hayato just stands there, playing the part of the confused victim to perfection. Suzuna gives Hayato a wink and a playful tongue out. My apologies, she chirps. Hayato just sighs, acting like he's recovering from a near-death experience. It's fine, he says. It's not like you can tell just by looking at someone. Deep down, he's probably laughing his head off at how easily they fell for it. With the threat cleared and the suspect proven to be a nobody, Suzuna introduces herself properly. I'm Hattori Suzuna of the Special Countermeasures Unit, she says with a bright, idol-like smile. She's the heart of the team, full of energy even in a disaster zone. It's hard to stay mad at someone that bubbly. The other two follow suit. I'm Sarenji Reika, the redhead says, still looking a bit skeptical. And my name is Kurosaka Ryoko, the dark-haired leader adds with a dignified nod. They're the top-tier warriors of this era, the legends that commoners only see on TV, and they're currently babysitting a 0. Reika gives Hayato a friendly punch on the shoulder. Still, you're taking this awfully well, she laughs. Most people would be a mess after seeing something like this. You have got nerves of steel. Hayato just sweats a little, hoping they don't look too closely at his nerves of steel. Ryoko remains silent, her eyes still scanning his face for any slips. Suzuna, the unit's ray of sunshine, clasps Hayato's hands with genuine sympathy. Don't let that 0 get you down, she chirps, her eyes full of hope. I just know your powers will wake up one day. You've got to keep believing. It's an incredibly kind gesture, even if it's directed at the most powerful being on the planet. Hayato can only stand there in stunned silence, completely overwhelmed by her misplaced pity. The SCU unit begins their formal investigation of the scene, but they can't let their only witness leave just yet. We're going to need your testimony, Ryoko explains, her voice professional as she looks over the massive crater. But first, we need to log your details. Hayato gives a nervous nod, realizing he needs to provide a name before he can finally slip away and check on Sally. Yanagi Hayato introduces himself, still playing the part of the nervous teenager. Suzuna gives him a bright, friendly smile, happy to have helped a defenseless citizen. To her, he's just another boy named Hayato. She has no idea she was just talking to the person who did her job for her. As Hayato walks away, Suzuna waves him off, warning him to be careful of the rubble. The rest of the SCU trio watches him go, already turning their attention back to the massive crater. Hayato makes a quick exit, eager to leave the heroes behind and return to his quiet life. Or at least, what's left of it. Walking through the ruins, Hayato lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding. That was close, he mutters. He has 0 interest in getting tangled up with the SCU. He reflects on how messed up this society is. Luckily for him, they let him walk simply because his score says 0. In a world obsessed with numbers, being a 0 is the ultimate invisibility cloak. As he looks back at the destroyed mall, a small, stray thought crosses his mind. That Hattori girl, she was kind of cute. Even a hidden god has time for a little high school crush, it seems. But the moment of peace doesn't last long as he heads back to the reality of his everyday life. The next day at school, the bullying starts right back up. Tanaka Ryo and his lackeys are at it again, harassing Hayato about the drinks he bought. They're arguing over the difference between soda and cider like it's a matter of life and death. To them, Hayato is just a convenient punching bag for their petty frustrations. The insults get personal. Tanaka mocks Hayato, saying a zero like him will never get a girlfriend. Hayato just takes it, even making a self-deprecating joke about buying another drink. He plays the fool so well that Tanaka doesn't notice the bored look in his eyes. But Tanaka's patience is wearing thin. Once Hayato is out of earshot, the tone shifts. Tanaka and his crew decide it's time to demolish him. They think he's been getting a little too bold lately, and they want to put him back in his place. Tanaka isn't just planning a schoolyard scrap. He's looking for something much more permanent. Tanaka has a sinister smile on his face. He's the son of a high-ranking official, and he's used to getting what he wants. To him, Hayato is just a piece of trash that needs to be taken out. He's done with the teasing. He wants to see the boy broken. Tanaka pulls out his phone and makes a call. He's arranging a meeting at an abandoned warehouse. He mentions hiring a crew that doesn't know the meaning of the word mercy. He's bringing in professionals to handle a zero. It's an overkill that shows just how insecure Tanaka really is. The conversation turns dark. Tanaka and his friends start talking about Hayato's younger sister, Ao. They've heard she's brilliant and cute, and Tanaka's grin turns predatory. He's not just going after Hayato anymore. He's using Ao as a pawn in his sick game. Hayato arrives with the drinks, unaware of the threat looming over his family. For the first time, Tanaka actually says thanks. It's a sudden, jarring change in behavior that immediately sets off Hayato's alarm bells. Something feels off, he thinks. The bullies are being too nice, and that usually means a knife is coming for his back. Later that day, as the clouds gather and the first drops of rain begin to fall, Hayato's phone pings. It's a class group call notification. He stops in his tracks, a sinking feeling in his gut. A class announcement this late? It can't be good. The message is from Tanaka Ryo. He's telling Hayato to come to a specific warehouse. But it's the image attached that makes Hayato's blood run cold. Tanaka didn't send a picture of himself. He sent a photo of Yanagi Ao. The threat is clear. Come here or else. Hayato's eyes widen in genuine panic. The mask of the lazy student is gone. He sees a photo of his sister walking alone, and his heart hammers against his ribs. He doesn't think. He just acts, immediately hitting her contact to see if she's okay. Oh, are you okay? Where are you right now? He screams into the phone. He's breathing hard, his mind racing through 1,000 terrible scenarios. He doesn't care about Tanaka or the warehouse. He just needs to hear her voice. Every second the phone rings feels like an eternity. Ao picks up, sounding completely normal. Huh, I'm at home. Did something happen? She asks, confused by his tone. She tells him she's making his favorite for dinner and asks him to hurry home. Hayato closes his eyes, a wave of pure relief washing over him. She's safe. For now. But then reality sets back in. Tanaka sending that photo means he knows where she is. He knows her routine. If Hayato doesn't go to the warehouse, Tanaka will make good on his threat. He tells Ao he's looking forward to dinner and hangs up. His hand tightens into a fist inside his pocket. Tanaka has just made the biggest mistake of his life. Hayato's footsteps echo on the wet pavement. The authority of the gods isn't just about strength, it's about judgment. You're the ones who crossed the line first, he whispers to the empty air. The rain begins to pour, matching the cold, dark fury building inside him. The time for hiding is over. A close-up of Hayato reveals a face that no one at school would recognize. His eyes are icy, devoid of their usual laziness. I won't let you get away with this. This isn't a threat. It's a promise from a being that can shatter stars. Tanaka wanted to see a monster? He's about to get his wish. Meanwhile, at the abandoned warehouse, a thug in a hoodie is laughing. He's just been promised 300,000 yen to rough up a single kid. This is easy money, he brags to his friends. They're all casual about it, treating a boy's life like a quick payday. They have no idea they're standing in their own graveyard. The thugs talk about Tanaka, the spoiled son of the police commissioner. They mock the unawakened kid they're about to beat to a pulp. Then, one of them makes a disgusting comment about Ao, saying he's way more interested in the sister. The air in the warehouse should have turned to ice at those words, but these men are too stupid to realize the danger they're in. Tanaka is there too, smirking at the thought of Hayato's arrival. The thugs continue their vile comments about Ao, imagining her face when they're through. Just then, a loud crack echoes through the building. Tanaka looks over his shoulder, a smug, looks like the kid showed up on his lips. But he's very, very wrong. The cracks in the wall aren't from a boy's fist. They're massive, jagged rents in the concrete. The thugs freeze as a dark, oily liquid begins to seep through. Something huge and predatory is on the other side, and it didn't use the door. The easy money just became a nightmare. With a deafening explosion of stone, the wall shatters. Standing in the gap is Ritter, the legendary A-rank butcher monster. It's a terrifying mass of muscle and blades, its single horn glowing with a murderous light. The thugs can only stare in mute horror as they realize their easy payday has just turned into a literal slaughterhouse. Their fight for survival starts now, though it's already a losing battle. Chaos erupts in a heartbeat. Ritter doesn't wait for a scream or an apology. With a blur of its blade-like arms, it begins to tear through the thugs before they can even process the horror. The men who were just laughing about bullying Azuro find themselves facing a nightmare they can't outrun. As Tanaka and the others scramble to find an exit, the air fills with the cold, wet sound of their impending doom. Splat! The sound of bone meeting blade echoes through the warehouse. There's no time for a fight, no chance for the thugs to use their measly powers. In a world of scores, they just met the ultimate high roller, and the price was their lives. In seconds, it's over. Ritter stands tall amidst the carnage, the blood of the bullies and the thugs dripping from its bladed arms. Tanaka Ryo, the boy who thought his 5,000 score made him a king, lies broken on the floor. His arrogance, his money, his connections, none of it meant anything to the demon standing over him. Ritter casually walks toward the exit, its work in the warehouse done. This isn't just a monster, it's a walking apocalypse. It has the power to wipe out entire regions, maybe even multiple states in a single night. Here, right now, in the heart of the city, a catastrophe has just taken its first breath. Its name is Ritter, an A-rank existence. In the hierarchy of monsters, A-rank isn't just a category, it's a legend. These are the beings that change the map, the ones that entire armies are built to stop. And it's just wandered into a neighborhood full of unsuspecting students. This is the Butcher, a demon with a history written in blood, famous for the day it slaughtered 500,000 humans in a single massacre. Ritter's empty, glowing eyes suggest a hunger that can never be satisfied. It doesn't kill for food or territory. It kills because that is what it was made to do. Meanwhile, out in the city, the sirens begin to wail. Yanagi Hayato is walking home through the rain when his phone pings with an emergency alert. He looks down at the screen, his expression as bored as if he's reading a weather report. Oh, an A-rank. The location, it's pretty close by. Most people would be running for their lives. Hayato just keeps walking. Hayato lets out a long, tired sigh. I hope I don't run into it. He just wants to get home, have dinner with AO, and go back to his quiet, useless life. But with a legendary demon on the loose and a score to settle for his sister, Hayato's peace might be short-lived. The real battle is only just beginning. Under the pouring rain, Yanagi Hayato walks alone after school. The gray sky reflects his quiet life as a student with an ability score of 0. But in this world, silence is a luxury. Monsters have become a grim reality, classified from F to the catastrophic SSS rank. Lately, high-ranking threats have been appearing more frequently, casting a shadow over the city. While a typical ability user can handle an F rank, an SSS rank monster possesses enough power to trigger a global crisis, leaving humanity on the brink of extinction. Suddenly, Yanagi Hayato stops. A sharp, metallic scent pierces through the smell of rain. His senses, far more refined than any device can measure, alert him to something nearby. The smell of blood leads him to a gruesome sight. A pile of corpses lies in the middle of the street, a silent testament to a monster's cruelty. This isn't just an accident, it's a massacre. This is just awful, he mutters, his eyes narrowing. Behind the facade of a weak student, a cold intensity begins to flicker. Something is watching him from the shadows. A sudden blur of motion. A lethal strike misses Yanagi Hayato by mere inches as he instinctively dodges. The impact shatters the ground where he stood just a second ago. Phew, that was close, he says, catching his breath. If he had reacted even a moment later, he would have been added to that pile of bodies. The predator has revealed itself. It's a Ritter. This monster's first appearance 70 years ago in London left nearly 500,000 casualties. It took dozens of elite ability users just to bring one down. The appearance of such creatures forced humanity to pour all its resources into training ability users. And now one stands right in front of Yanagi Hayato. The Ritter lunges again, its blades whistling through the air. Yanagi Hayato complains about his terrible luck, but his movements remain impossibly calm as he evades the onslaught. Mas! With a single word, the air vibrates with divine authority. A towering, phantom knight clad in silver armor manifests behind Yanagi Hayato, answering his call. The phantom kite, Mars, blocks the monster's strike effortlessly. The shockwave of the clash ripples through the alley, shaking the very foundations of the buildings. In the middle of the chaos, Yanagi Hayato remains unmoved. The battle between the divine summon and the A-rank monster intensifies, turning the area into a war zone. Ao's home cooking is waiting for me, he thinks. To him, this life-or-death struggle is just an annoying delay on his way home to his sister. He decides it's time to end this. He signals Mars to finish it. The Divine Knight raises its weapon, ready to deliver a crushing blow that would obliterate any ordinary threat. He needs to wrap this up quickly. With a powerful kick and a coordinated strike from Mars, the Ritter is sent hurtling back. Yanagi Hayato is already thinking about heading home, but he isn't alone anymore. In the distance, a helicopter cuts through the rain. Members of the Special Countermeasures Unit, including Hattori Suzuna, have arrived at the scene. They were tracking the monster's energy. It should be right around here, one of them says. From their vantage point, they witness the aftermath of the explosion, scanning the area for any survivors or the target. Through her binoculars, Hattori Suzuna spots him. "What's happened to that boy?" she exclaims, seeing a lone student standing in the middle of a destroyed battleground. Back on the ground, Yanagi Hayato notices a small cut on his finger. To his surprise, the Ritter isn't dead yet. Despite the massive damage, the creature is still standing. The monster seems to vanish for a split second. Yanagi Hayato looks around, confused. A simple rock lies on the ground where the Ritter should have been. What is this trick? A rock? Before he can process it, he hears a grunt behind him. The Ritter's ability isn't just speed. It's something much more deceptive. In a blur of motion, the monster vanishes and reappears right at his back, ready to strike. It's clear now why there's no data on this creature. Its power is unlike anything the system can track. The secret is exchange, a technique that allowed it to swap places with a nearby rock in an instant. As the predator lunges at his exposed back, Yanagi Hayato realizes he can't rely on sight alone to survive this fight. Yanagi Hayato closes his eyes, blocking out the chaos of the rain. He focuses on the subtle vibrations in the air, tracking the monster's presence through sound alone. With a sudden burst of speed, he throws a heavy punch, but instead of flesh, he strikes a solid rock. The Ritter is gone. In its place is a jagged stone, shattered by Yanagi Hayato's strength. The monster has tricked him, using a strange ability to evade a fatal blow. Another exchange? Yanagi Hayato realizes too late. The Ritter reappears behind him, its blade arm glowing with lethal intent. Before he can turn, a deep slash rips through his back, spraying blood into the cold rain. The monster swaps positions again, leaving Yanagi Hayato standing alone among the scattered stones. Despite the burning pain in his back, his expression remains eerily calm. He admits he underestimated the creature's cunning. Standing amidst the rubble, Yanagi Hayato delivers a chilling promise, which is why you're done for. The air around him begins to crackle with an ancient, terrifying power. A trickle of blood runs down his chin, but his eyes glow with a new light. I won't hold back anymore, he declares. Phase Ascension. The phantom of a divine kite begins to materialize behind him, radiating an aura of absolute war. Awaken. Muffs? As he speaks the name, his own eyes transform, matching the fierce, glowing gaze of the entity he is summoning. The transformation is complete. Fully manifested, Mars, alias Gladius, stands as a majestic and terrifying divine warrior. Clad in silver armor and wielding a spear and shield, he is the very embodiment of the battlefield. Mars displays a ferocity that borders on madness, a true warrior without equal. Under his protection, Yanagi Hayato's presence shifts from a mere student to a lord of annihilation. Even the A-rank Ritter pauses, sensing the overwhelming pressure. The hunter has suddenly become the prey, facing a power that shouldn't exist in this world. With his hair turned white and his aura blazing, Yanagi Hayato challenges the monster. Bring it on. You're nothing. The fear that would paralyze any other hunter is completely absent from his soul. The divine kite, Mars, towers behind Yanagi Hayato like a silent mountain. The Ritter tries to find an opening, but every path is blocked by the phantom warrior's spear. Yanagi Hayato looks directly at the monster with cold, detached eyes. You are nothing, he repeats. The gap between their power is now a bottomless abyss. The Ritter screams in rage, a primal sound that echoes through the warehouse. It lunges forward, desperate to regain control of the fight, but Mars is already in motion. Mars strikes with blinding speed. The divine power behind the hit sends shock waves through the Ritter's body, its defensive stance crumbling instantly. A devastating punch connects, tearing through the monster's torso. The impact is so great that pieces of the Ritter's body are scattered across the floor, mixed with the rain. Yanagi Hayato shrugs nonchalantly. Whoops, my bad. Once I cut loose, I can't exactly hold back. He watches as the Ritter struggles to stand, its body mangled beyond recognition. But the Ritter isn't finished. Its flesh begins to bubble and steam, the wounds closing at an impossible speed. The A-rank monster's regeneration is kicking in. Regeneration? Huh. Yanagi Hayato observes the process with a slight frown. He realizes that simply wounding the creature won't be enough to keep it down. The Ritter lets out a sinister, gurgling laugh as its face knits back together. It's confident in its ability to outlast any human opponent. It doesn't realize its mistake yet. The monster charges once more, thinking it has the advantage. Yanagi Hayato clenches his fist, the divine light of Mars concentrating into his knuckles. If that's the case, he catches the Ritter mid-lunge, his arm burying itself deep into the monster's chest. This time, he isn't just striking, he's injecting his power directly into the creature's core. Yanagi Hayato's gaze is frozen like ice. Then I'll just have to erase every last speck of you. He prepares to release the full destructive potential of his ascension. Fist of Annihilation. A blinding pillar of light erupts from his hand, consuming the Ritter completely. The divine power leaves no room for escape, disintegrating every single cell of the monster before it has any chance to regenerate. As the light fades and the phantom of Mars begins to dissipate, silence settles back over the warehouse. Yanagi Hayato stands alone in the aftermath, but the weight on his shoulders hasn't lifted. With a heavy sigh, he prepares to step back out into the rain, sensing that this nuisance of a night is far from over. Yanagi Hayato walks through the heavy rain, his mood as gray as the sky. Damn, what a nuisance, he mutters. He isn't interested in heroics, but he knows he can't ignore the dangerous energy he's sensing. He picks up his pace, heading toward the industrial district. He arrives at a deserted warehouse, the sound of rain drumming against the metal roof. He wonders if that party boy, Tanaka Ryo from school, is somehow involved, or if he's just walking into a trap. Regardless, he can't turn back now. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of iron. Yanagi Hayato finds the source, a horrific scene of slaughter. So the Ritter made it this far. He observes, looking at the fallen victims with a mixture of pity and grim realization. He stands among the corpses, feeling the weight of the tragedy. Just as he concludes that he arrived too late to save anyone, his phone starts to vibrate in his pocket. Someone is trying to reach him in the middle of this nightmare. It's a text from his sister, Yanagi Ao. She's angry because dinner is getting cold and he's not home yet. Yanagi Hayato panics. In his world, a monster is dangerous, but a hungry, angry sister is far more terrifying. After the brutal battle with the Ritter, Yanagi Hayato is eager to disappear before anyone notices. "I've got to hurry home," he says, turning to leave the warehouse. But a cheerful voice stops him in his tracks. "Long time no see." 3 girls in military-style school uniforms stand before him, radiating an aura of elite training. They are members of the Special Countermeasures Unit, the government's elite force for handling high-rank monsters. Leading them is a familiar face. Hattori Suzuna, the energetic girl with the rabbit ear ribbon, skips toward him with a wide grin. "Do you remember me?" she asks. Yanagi Hayato, caught off guard, stammers, "Why, yes, you're Ms. Hattori, right?" Hattori Suzuna lights up with joy. "That's right. You remembered me. That makes me so happy." Her bubbly personality is a sharp contrast to the dark warehouse and the violent battle that just took place there. Confused and wary, Yanagi Hayato looks at the group. Why is everyone here?" he asks, try to play dumb. "Are you perhaps looking for the A-rank monster?" He hopes they didn't see his transformation. Hattori Suzuna leans in close, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "Nope, we came looking for you," she reveals. Yanagi Hayato feels a cold sweat. His secret identity as Mars might be in serious jeopardy. "I've never seen an ability that turns hair pure white like that before," she exclaims, her voice full of admiration. She recounts the fight in detail, praising how he blew the Ritter to pieces. It seems the SCU saw everything. With the battle over, Yanagi Hayato tries to make a quick exit, telling the girls his sister is waiting for him. He just wants to get back to his normal life. But Kurosaka Ryoko stops him in his tracks. She reveals that they didn't just happen to find him. She recorded his entire fight with the Ritter. Ryoko's facial analysis already identified him as a student from Scion High. Meanwhile, Sarenji Reika steps up with a scanner to check his rank on the spot. The results are in, and it's a big, fat 0. Just as she suspected, he's officially an unawakened with no recorded power at all. Reika is confused. It's rare for someone with a score of 0 to possess an ability like that. She wonders what he actually is. That's when Hattori Suzuna jumps in to break the tension. She tells her teammates to back off and not put poor Hayato on the spot like that. Suzuna leans in close, her eyes sparkling. She tells Hayato that wasting an ability like his would be an absolute crime. She explains the reality of their situation. Even in their elite ranks, only a handful of people can take down an A-rank monster single-handedly. And then comes the big question. Suzuna looks him straight in the eye and asks, "Won't you lend us your strength?" She's not just asking for a favor. She wants him to join their special countermeasures unit. She's seen what he's capable of. Hayato is stunned, but Suzuna is as energetic as ever. She tells him there's no rush to decide right now as she reaches for her bag. She hands him a slip with her personal number and email. She gives him a bright smile and says that she'll be waiting for his yes. As the girls run off, Hayato is left standing alone in the empty warehouse, staring at the contact info in complete disbelief. He looks down at the slip of paper. He can't help but ask himself, is this really happening right now? A blush creeps across his face. For the first time in his entire life, a girl actually gave him her phone number. Across town, the sirens sound and the announcement echoes. The A-rank monster is gone, and the evacuation order is officially lifted. Hayato walks home, carefully saving Hattori Suzuna's contact information into his phone. Everything seems like it's looking up. He's in pure bliss, clutching his phone like a treasure. But as he reaches his front door, he hears voices coming from inside. He steps inside and calls out, wondering if his mother and the others have made it back home yet. His jaw drops. There's Suzuna, sitting right at his dinner table and chatting with his sister, Yanagi Ao, as if they've been friends for years. Suzuna winks at him, casually saying she came to hear his answer. She was so excited that she just couldn't sit still. Ao looks at her brother with a mischievous smile, asking where he managed to meet such a cute girl. Hayato is absolutely mortified. Suzuna is already fitting in too well, inviting Hayato to eat before they have their little talk. She's completely taken over the house. Ao seems thrilled by the company, heading off to the kitchen to warm up his food while telling him to go get changed. The house feels livelier than it has in a long time. With a cheerful wave, Suzuna shouts that she'll be waiting. As Hayato slowly walks up the stairs, he's left dazed by the sheer, chaotic energy this girl has brought right into his home. Yanagi Hayato is still reeling from the surprise visit. He can't help but think about how wild Hattori Suzuna is showing up at his house out of nowhere. He looks at the empty living room, feeling a strange mix of emotions. Despite the intrusion, he's grateful that his sister, Yanagi Ao, seemed to genuinely enjoy herself for once. The next day arrives, and the morning sun shines brightly on their quiet home. Hayato wakes up to find that it's already past noon. He must have passed out the moment he finished changing. He notices a note left on the table by Ao. As he splashes water on his face, Hayato reflects on the situation. Suzuna told Ao everything about the Ritter, his true power, and her invitation for him to join the special countermeasures unit. He realizes that while he was asleep, his secret life was laid bare to his sister, and the choice he's been avoiding is now right in front of him. Ao even went as far as calling his school to report his absence, telling him to just stay home and rest until he's fully healed. She's always looking out for him. Hayato spends the afternoon researching the special countermeasures unit. He learns it's a prestigious government task force, but the prestige comes with a heavy burden. The pay is substantial, and members are worshipped as beacons of hope, but the survival rate is barely 70%. It's a life of constant, lethal danger. The perks are tempting, but Hayato's main concern is his sister. He wonders if stepping into the spotlight will only bring trouble to Ao's peaceful life. He looks at the thought of Ao's bright, happy smile. He fears that by joining the unit, he might eventually be the reason that smile disappears forever. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Hayato goes to answer it, wondering who could be visiting so early. It's Suzuna again, but she swapped her combat gear for casual clothes. Hayato is taken aback. She has a completely different, softer vibe when she's not on duty. Suzuna apologizes for the chaos she caused yesterday and asks Hayato if he'd like to walk with her to Ao's middle school. Hayato agrees, but as they walk side by side, his heart won't stop pounding. He's never actually walked with a girl other than his sister before. The bustling city streets feel different today. Hayato is so stiff he's practically marching, feeling completely out of his element. He can't help but wonder if people walking by think they're a couple. The thought alone makes his head spin. Suzuna is oblivious to his internal panic, happily chatting about how much she enjoyed talking with Ao the previous night. Hayato starts to think that maybe life isn't so bad after all. Then, Suzuna drops a bombshell. Ao told her she's actually backing Hayato's decision to join the SCU unit. Hayato remembers that Ao once said she wished he'd stop hiding his powers. She wants him to be proud of who he is, not live in fear. Suzuna's expression turns serious. She asks if the real reason he's been hiding his abilities is related to that incident from the past. Hayato's voice drops to a whisper as he mentions the Witch of Perth. It's a name that still sends shivers down the spines of everyone in this world. He recalls the tragedy, a young girl with a score of 0 who suddenly summoned a knight in jet black armor. Without warning, they wiped out a city of 2 million people. The world didn't see a hero, they saw a witch. The shadow of the Perth tragedy has turned every powerful rank 0 into a monster in the eyes of society. It's a burden Hayato has carried in silence for years, convinced that to keep Ao safe, his true nature must never be revealed. Suzuna makes it clear that joining her unit means abandoning that silence and facing the world head-on. Hayato looks at her with a heavy, skeptical gaze, his voice filled with doubt as he asks, "Do you really think the world would ever praise someone like me?" Suzuna's cheerful demeanor softens for a moment. She admits that, honestly, she doesn't know what the future holds. There's no way of knowing what could happen if Hayato reveals his power. But then, her eyes light up with a fierce determination. She clenches her fist and tells him, "If they won't praise you, Hayato, then you just have to become so incredible they have no choice." Her words hit home. Hayato realized that he'd never even considered looking at his situation that way. Seeing Suzuna's bright smile, he feels a tiny spark of hope. The two finally arrive at Cyan Middle School just as the bell rings. Suzuna notices that classes are letting out, and the gate is starting to swarm with students. It's Hayato's first time visiting his sister's school. He expects to see her surrounded by friends, as she's easily one of the most popular girls around. Suzuna suddenly pulls him behind a wall, spotting Ao in the distance. She whispers for him to be quiet and just watch, wanting him to see his sister in her natural element. Hayato peers around the corner, his eyes searching for his sister. But when he finally spots her, his heart skips a beat in the worst way possible. There she is, but this isn't the Yanagi Ao he knows. Her head is down, her shoulders are slumped, and her entire aura is one of profound sadness and isolation. He can barely even mutter her name. The shock of seeing her like this is overwhelming. Hayato's eyes are filled with worry and confusion. He's never once seen her make a face like that at home, not even a hint of this hidden pain. As Ao walks past, looking like a ghost in a crowd of laughing children, Hayato can only watch from the shadows. Just what in the world is happening to his little sister? Seeing Ao's expression, Hayato is frozen. He's never seen his sister look so drained, so empty at home. It's a side of her he never knew existed. He watched her walk away, realizing that while he thought she was enjoying her school life, the reality was something far more painful. Behind him, Suzuna approaches. She's been watching, and she knows exactly what's going on. Hayato tries to make excuses, thinking Ao just had a bad day or a little spat with a friend. But Suzuna cuts through his denial. She tells him that Ao walks home alone like this every single day. The shock hits Hayato like a physical blow. Why? She was always so outgoing, wasn't she? He remembers her as the cheerful, social girl he always knew. But as Suzuna speaks, the image of Ao standing alone against a cold world begins to take shape in his mind. Anger flares in Hayato's chest. He wants to know who's responsible. Who is the one making his sister suffer? If someone is bullying her, he won't let it slide. Then, Suzuna delivers the most painful truth of all. The person making Ao sad isn't some random bully. It's him. It's Hayato. In this world of awakened heroes, Ao has become an outcast simply because her older brother is a score zero, a supposedly unawakened loser. Her peers distance themselves, and she's forced into isolation because of his reputation. Hayato is shattered. The very act of hiding his power, the life he chose to keep them safe, was actually the thing causing her the most trouble. Every ha of frustration he suppressed, she was the one bearing the weight. He watches as Ao forces a smile on her face before stepping through their front door. She's slapping her cheeks, psyching herself up to play the part of the happy little sister for him. "I'm home," she calls out. Suzuna explains that Ao knows how Hayato feels, his guilt, his struggle. So she decided to be the one who keeps smiling, no matter how hard it gets at school. Overwhelmed with guilt, Hayato rushes into the house. He needs to see her, but as soon as he bursts through the door, his heart sinks further. Instead of a tearful confession, he's met with Ao's fiery scolding. She's furious that he was out wandering while still injured from the warehouse incident. He can only offer a weak apology. She's so worried about him that she can't even see his internal turmoil. To make it up to her, Hayato offers to handle dinner, stepping into the kitchen while his mind continues to race. As he cracks eggs and starts cooking, the weight of the day settles in. He's been so focused on his own secrets that he missed the signs right in front of him. Since when did things get this bad for her? He can't bring himself to say it out loud, so he lets the food speak for him. He plates an omuris, carefully squeezing out the word sorry in ketchup. It's pathetic, he thinks, but it's all he can do right now. Ao sees it and immediately tells him not to worry. She's still playing her role, telling him to just rest up for tomorrow. Her kindness only makes his heart ache more. But something in Hayato has changed. As she enjoys the meal, he makes a silent vow. No more lies. No more hiding. He won't let her suffer for his sake ever again. He picks up his phone, his eyes sharp with a new purpose. It's time to stop lying to himself. Night falls, and the stars watch as a decision is made. A phone call is placed, and a destiny is set in motion. The next morning at school, Hayato heads to the rooftop. He isn't there to hide. He's there for a confrontation. Hattori, the leader of the bullies, greets him with his usual arrogance. "What do you want?" he sneers. Hayato's gaze is cold. He brings up the warehouse, asking if Hattori remembers. Hattori plays it off, claiming he wasn't even there, a smug grin plastered on his face. Hattori admits he sent guys to beat Hayato to a pulp and calls him lucky that they were taken out by some Ritter. He has no idea he's standing in front of the very person who decimated that A-rank monster. With a condescending pat on the shoulder, Hattori tells him to be ready because he's going to arrange another little meeting soon. Hayato remains silent, his head bowed, shadows hiding his expression. Hattori and his goons turn to walk away, satisfied with their threats, but Hayato's voice stops them dead. "There won't be a next time," he says. There's a sudden, chilling authority in his tone that forces the bullies to stop and look back in confusion. He looks back over his shoulder, his eyes sharp and devoid of his usual hesitation. "Because this is the last time you will ever see me," he declares. To Hattori, this sounds like a final surrender, a loser finally quitting, but Hayato is actually closing the door on this small, petty world forever. Hattori and his lackeys laugh, thinking they've finally broken Hayato. "What? Are you Koi Kung Bo Kyuaka?" They sneer, telling him to get lost and never show his face again. Little do they know, they're about to face a reality they can't even fathom. Hayato's gaze remains cold and unwavering. He drops the bombshell. "I'm joining the special countermeasures unit." The laughter dies instantly as the weight of his words sinks in. To the bullies, he's just an unawakened nobody, but the name Mars is about to change everything. Suddenly, the air itself seems to solidify. A towering, spectral night, Mars, manifests behind Hayato, radiating a terrifying pressure. The force of the aura alone sends Hattori and his group flying backward, their arrogance replaced by sheer, primal fear as the rooftop begins to crack under the strain. Hattori and the others crash into the deck, scrambling away from the boy they once considered a helpless target. They can't even stand up, pinned down by the sheer weight of a power that feels like a mountain falling on them. Hattori stares up, his face twisted in disbelief and horror. "Why you? You have an ability." The realization that he's been bullying a being with the power of a god hits him with more force than any physical punch. Hayato looks down at them, his expression one of calm disappointment. He tells them he only endured their foolishness for Ao's sake. Meanwhile, Hattori is paralyzed, his body shaking uncontrollably under the weight of a battle aura that is simply overwhelming. He's never felt anything this terrifying in his life. With a swift, powerful movement, Hayato unleashes a surge of energy. He doesn't even need to touch them. The shockwave carries the devastating will of Mars, tearing through the air like a physical blade. The shockwave slams into the concrete wall behind Hattori, spiderwebbing the surface with deep, jagged cracks. Hattori is inches away from destruction, his mouth agape as he stares death in the face, realizing he was a single inch away from being pulverized. Hayato knows that by revealing this side of himself, he's crossing a line. People will fear him. They might even hate him. He acknowledges that hiding his strength might have been a mistake, but it's one he won't make again. "I'm done hiding," he declares, his resolve finally hardening. He remembers Ao's smile and her belief in him. Her words echo in his mind, giving him the strength to stop running from his destiny. He just has to be so amazing that everyone has no choice but to admire him. But I'm done hiding, he says, stepping into his true self. Standing tall with the majestic silhouette of Mars looming over him, Hayato accepts his reality. He is an ability user with a score of 0, a number that clearly doesn't represent his true, terrifying potential. He is the hidden god in a world of mere mortals. Hattori is left gasping for air on the floor, his spirit completely broken. Hayato gives him one final, chilling warning. Don't you ever get involved with me and Ao again. As Hayato turns to leave, Hattori can only stammer in disbelief. There's no way he's a Zero. The pressure was so intense that the mighty bully has completely lost control of himself. Hattori has literally pissed his pants. A power like that. It has to be well over 100,000, a level that defies everything Hattori thought he knew about strength. Hayato walks out of the school gates, leaving his old life behind. Waiting for him is a sleek black luxury car and a very enthusiastic Suzuna waving from the window. Hayato-kun. Over here, she calls out, ready to whisk him away to his new life. Inside the plush interior of the car, Hayato apologizes for the trouble. Suzuna just smiles, dismissing his worries. Not at all, she says, as they begin the long drive to the Special Countermeasures Unit headquarters. As the city speeds by, Suzuna asks with a mischievous glint in her eye, how did saying goodbye to your schoolmates go? Was everyone crying? She's clearly curious about the chaos he likely left in his wake. Hayato looks out the window, a small, knowing smirk touching his lips. They were, he replies simply. Seems they were pretty sad to see me go. He's enjoying the irony of the situation. He adds the punchline with a dry sense of humor. They were crying so hard they pissed themselves. It's the ultimate closure for a boy who spent years as their target. And now, they're nothing but a faint, pathetic memory in his rearview mirror. The car pulls up to a massive complex, and Hayato steps out to find himself standing before a monument of modern power. We're here, Suzuna announces, and the scale of his new world finally begins to sink in. He looks up at the glass tower, the SCU Japan branch headquarters, amazed by its sheer size. Suzuna points to a nearby apartment building, telling him it's his and Ao's new home. A fresh start, far away from the bullies and the isolation. Suzuna mentions how excited Ao was when she saw the massive living room earlier that day. Hayato is relieved to know his sister is already settling in. As they walk through the pristine halls, he asks about the team. Suzuna explains that including him, there are 8 members. She continues explaining that 8 is a significant force for a branch, as most teams in smaller countries only have 2 to 4 members. Japan is a major hub for the SCU, and Hayato is now a part of their elite ranks. They reach the 30th floor, and Suzuna gestures to a room. This is your locker room. There's a uniform inside for you, so go get changed. The transition from student to soldier is happening faster than he expected. Hayato accepts the temporary ID, a simple card that signifies his official entry into this new world. You'll need it to navigate the facility and access restricted areas. So keep it safe, Suzuna advises as he heads into the locker room to leave his civilian life behind. As the locker room door closes, Suzuna is caught off guard by a familiar, energetic voice calling out Suzuna-chai. She turns with a bright smile, waving back at 2 other members of the unit who have arrived just in time to catch a glimpse of the newcomer. While waiting for Hayato to change, Suzuna is approached by 2 other members of the unit. Ryoko and Reika were watching from the side, curious about the new boy. Was that him just now? Ryoko asks, wondering if Suzuna was giving him the grand tour of the facility. Reika, however, isn't as easily impressed. She admits she still doesn't trust Hayato's mysterious power. Ryoko tries to stay optimistic, suggesting they'll understand more once they spend some time with him. Just then, the locker room door clicks open and Hayato steps out, apologizing for keeping them waiting. He stands there awkwardly in his new SCU uniform, looking a bit like a deer in headlights. But the girls are pleasantly surprised. "Whoa, it looks great on you," Suzuna exclaims, while Ryoko adds that he actually looks quite cool. Nervous, Hayato introduces himself with a polite bow, which the girls return with a friendly greeting. It's his first real interaction with his new peers. Curiosity gets the better of Ryoko and Reika, and they decide to tag along for the next part of the tour. Suzuna leads the way, explaining to the group that they are heading down to the basement level. They reach B1, the sprawling training grounds of the facility. Suzuna explains that their leader is already there, waiting to meet the new recruit as soon as he was done changing. The heavy doors slide open, revealing the heart of the branch's operations. As they enter the hall, they are met by a man with a confident, welcoming presence. This is Kanga Takaru, the 15th ranked ability user in the entire world. He looks Hayato over with a sharp but friendly gaze. "Ah, you've arrived. You must be Yanagi Hayato. A pleasure to finally meet you." Kongu reaches out for a handshake, and as their hands meet, Hayato feels a jolt. It's not just a grip, it's a transmission of power. He realizes Kongu isn't just greeting him. He's letting him feel his strength on purpose, a subtle test of the rookie's composure. The air between them seems to vibrate with an overwhelming battle aura. It's a silent way for the leader to show the rookie the level of the world he's just stepped into, establishing a clear sense of the hierarchy within the SCU. Hayato is genuinely impressed. This is the man who leads the Japan branch, a powerhouse whose strength is felt even in a simple handshake. He can see why Kongu is ranked so highly on the global stage, and it makes his own position feel even more precarious. Konga doesn't waste time with small talk. He admits he's heard all about Hayato's exploits from Suzuna, how he managed to take down a Ravana, and even a Ritter, all by himself. It's an impressive resume for someone who just walked through the door. But there's one thing that doesn't add up for the leader, and you did it with a power level of 0. "What's the deal with that?" he asks, his arms crossed. Hayato can only offer a nervous smile. It's not like he can easily explain the true source of his power without revealing everything. The girls watch the exchange closely, sensing the weight of the moment. Kongu isn't calling Hayato a liar, but he makes it clear that he isn't a person who blindly follows reports. "I'm just the type of person who needs to see things with my own eyes," he says, his gaze intensifying. Kanga Takaru, the man ranked 15th in the world, looks directly at Yanagi Hayato. He wants to see the truth behind the boy's score 0, and decides to be the judge of whether he's fit for the unit. He challenges Hayato to show his ability right here, right now. Hayato doesn't hesitate. He understands the weight of the situation, especially with the recent Witch of Perth incident hanging over everyone's heads. He respects Konga's leadership and simply says, "I don't mind." They move to a massive training hall protected by a special barrier. Kongu tells Hayato not to hold anything back, confident that the room can withstand whatever he throws at it. Hattori, Suzuna, and the other girls watch from the sidelines, eager to see what will happen next. Kongu cracks his knuckles, smiling. This isn't about winning or losing for him. It's about seeing Hayato's limits. Hayato takes a deep breath and whispers a single word, "Mars." In an instant, the atmosphere shifts. A massive, terrifying aura begins to materialize behind Hayato. Kongu feels it immediately, a power that is his, yet somehow feels like it belongs to something much older and stronger. The paladin has arrived. Kongu reacts instantly, manifesting his barriers. Hattori Suzuna explains that their leader can manipulate 10 barriers, each capable of blocking any attack. He starts with 4, thinking it should be more than enough for a rookie. But Hayato's expression remains calm. He looks at the 4 walls of light and asks with a faint smile, "Are you sure that's enough?" The question sends a chill down Kongu's spine. The crimson aura flares up, and the figure behind Hayato raises its weapon. The sheer pressure of the battle aura is overwhelming, radiating outwards and making the air itself heavy. Kurosaka, Ryoko, and the others can only watch in shock as Hayato's power surges. Kongu realizes he's vastly underestimated the boy. That crimson aura, It's like nothing he's ever seen before. Kanga panics and shouts for 7 barriers. He realizes the danger just as Hayato prepares his attack. Hayato, on the other hand, is curious to see how his strike will fare against one of the world's strongest defenders. Piercing Star. Hayato strikes. A beam of concentrated energy, guided by the shadowy paladin, blasts toward Kongo's defense like a falling star. The impact is catastrophic. The barriers shatter like glass under the weight of the spear. The shockwave ripples through the room, leaving everyone speechless as the dust begins to settle. Kongo stands frozen, staring at the remnants of his defense. Sweat pours down his face as he realizes just how close that strike came. His legendary barriers were no match for the boy's raw power. He touches the fragments of the 7th barrier. Destroying 4 or 5 requires an A-rank monster's power, and 6 requires an S rank. Hayato didn't just break 6, he put a crack in the 7th. This is unheard of. The girls are absolutely floored. Hattori Suzuna and Serenji Reika can't believe what they've just witnessed. They brought in a monster, a rookie whose physical reinforcement ability defies every logic they knew. Konga laughs it off, his surprise turning into genuine excitement. He reaches out to Hayato, having made his decision. There's one spot left in the upcoming mission, and he knows exactly who should fill it. Suddenly, another member of the unit, Geju Subaru, rushes in along with the others, drawn by the incredible noise of the impact. They look around the room, bewildered by the level of destruction. Kongo greets Geju with a wide grin, assuring them there's nothing to worry about. It was just their new recruit getting a little carried away during his evaluation. Hayato stands there, looking slightly embarrassed by all the attention. Geju looks at Hayato's unfamiliar face with skepticism. A new recruit? To cause this much damage? The rest of the team is equally intrigued, trying to reconcile the boy's unassuming appearance with the power he just displayed. When Geju tries to bring up the cave incident and the concern from the higher-ups, Kongo brushes it off. He's seen enough. He places a hand on Hayato's shoulder, his mind fully made up. Yanagi Hayato, I hereby appoint you to the subjugation team for the labyrinthine cave. The room goes still as the official announcement is made. This is no ordinary assignment. Hayato is stunned. His first mission, and it's something as dangerous as the labyrinthine cave? He can feel the weight of Kongo's hand and the responsibility that comes with it. His life as an SCU recruit has officially begun. Kongo is beaming with pride, welcoming Hayato to the team with open arms. He sees the potential for greatness, regardless of what any score might say. To him, Hayato is the secret weapon they've been waiting for. Geju Subaru remains skeptical, questioning the wisdom of throwing a rookie into such a high-stakes mission so suddenly. But Kongo stands his ground, confident that Hayato's power makes him more than ready. The decision is final, and the team begins to gather for the task ahead. Geju finally steps forward to introduce himself properly, admitting that seeing a blast like Hayato's was a first for him. He acknowledges the rookie's raw talent, but as the atmosphere settles, the rest of the unit begins to chime in with their own blunt ways of welcoming a newcomer to the reality of the front lines. Yanagi Hayato is taken aback by a sudden comment. One of his new teammates tells him with a casual tone that it's perfectly fine if he gets hurt on his first mission. It's a blunt welcome to the reality of their work. 2 young girls introduce themselves to the group. On the left is Kokuri Hana, who speaks with a calm and formal tone. On the right, the cheerful Kurosaka Mocha introduces herself as the team's healer, promising to patch Hayato up perfectly if things go south. Konga Takaru rests a hand on their heads, introducing them as key members of their rear support. Kurosaka Mocha is the heel bearer, and Kokuri Hana is the prophetess. Hayato is surprised to see such young kids in a combat unit like this. The entire team gathers around, welcoming Hayato. They are a diverse group, each with their own rare and specialized abilities. Despite his initial hesitation, Hayato feels a sense of belonging in this strange new world. The official welcome is brief but sincere. Welcome to the Special Countermeasures Unit, they tell him. For Hayato, this marks the end of his life as a normal student and the beginning of his journey as a protector. Inside the conference room, the atmosphere turns serious. Konga Takaru takes the lead, explaining their next objective: investigating the labyrinthine cave, a dangerous anomaly that appeared out of nowhere. Sarenji Reika sighs, leaning back in her chair. She notes that a government-sent recon team has already gone missing, having lost all contact. It seems the competence of the officials was lacking, or the cave is far more dangerous than anticipated. Kongu confirms the grim news. They haven't received any confirmation of deaths, but with communications down, there's no way to know what level of monsters are lurking inside the dark tunnels. Hayato listens intently, his expression hardening. He realizes that this isn't just a training exercise. There could be A-rank or even SS-rank monsters waiting for them in the depths of that cave. Konga sets the schedule. They start tomorrow. He starts naming the members of the subjugation team, looking at Hattori Suzuna and Sarenji Reika, who both prepare themselves for the task ahead. Hayato is confirmed as the final member of the assault team. Kongu explains that Giju Subaru's abilities aren't suited for narrow caves, and Kurosaka Ryoko will stay behind to handle command and any emergencies at HQ. Despite the danger, Sarenji Reika remains calm. She reminds them that they should be relatively safe as long as they can rely on her teleportation ability to get them out of a tight spot. Hayato finds some comfort in that, but he knows they can't let their guard down. Finally, Kongu turns to the young prophetess. He asks Kukuri Hana to deliver her prophecy for this mission. Hayato watches as Kukuri bows her head, a heavy silence falling over the room as she prepares to see the future. Kukuri Hana looks up, her eyes dark and solemn. She speaks 4 words that chill the room to its core. Someone on the subjugation team will die. The prophecy is clear and uncompromising. The announcement leaves everyone in shock. Hattori Suzuna, Kurosaka Moka, and even the stoic Giju Subaru look stunned. A death prophecy is the worst possible start to a mission. Hayato is visibly shaken, but Hattori Suzuna tells him that Kukuri's prophecies are never wrong. Despite the terrifying news, she tries to keep a smile on her face, saying they must take the warning to heart. Hattori thanks Kukuri for the warning, trying to maintain a brave front. It's a heavy burden to carry into battle, but she refuses to let fear paralyze her. She promises to be as careful as possible. Kukuri Hana doesn't offer any comfort, only a final plea. Please, be careful. Her role is to see the truth, no matter how painful it may be, and now she can only hope they can defy her vision. Hayato looks around the table, wondering how his teammates can remain so calm. Aren't they afraid, knowing that one of them might not return? He realizes that they must be used to hearing such grim prophecies in their line of work. He wonders if this constant proximity to death is their everyday reality. He thinks about his sister Ao and the life he's leaving behind. Is this the price of power? The cost of protecting what matters? Konga tells them they need to be sharper than ever, given the uncertainty of the mission. Hattori Suzuna turns to Hayato and reassures him with a confident smile, telling him that it will be okay. She won't let her recruit fall. No matter what happens, I'll protect you, Hattori says with a determined look. She feels responsible for him since she was the one who scouted him into the unit. Her resolve is unshakable. Hayato is moved by her words, but warns her not to sacrifice herself. He thanks her for the support, but in his mind, he's already made a vow. He has no intention of dying, and he won't let anyone else die either. Yanagi Hayato makes a silent promise to himself and his teammates. No matter what happens, he will be the one to protect them all. With the power of Mars, he is determined to defy Kukuri's grim prophecy and bring everyone home safely. The next day, a black jeep winds its way through a rugged mountain path, heading toward the site of the labyrinthine cave. The mission has officially begun, and as the vehicle jolts across the uneven terrain, the physical toll of the journey begins to settle in before they even reach their destination. The jeep bounces violently on the rough mountain road. Inside, Yanagi Hayato is already feeling the physical toll of the journey, his face pale as he tries to keep his composure amidst the constant jolting. Everyone else seems surprisingly unbothered. In fact, Sarenji Reika and Hattori Suzuna are taking full advantage of the cramped space, leaning right against Hayato from both sides. For them, it's just a bit of newbie hazing, but for Hayato, it's an awkward and overwhelming introduction to team bonding. Sarenji Reika complains about the bumpy ground making her seat uncomfortable, while Hattori Suzuna playfully notes that she's perfectly fine thanks to her nice thigh cushion, referring to the poor, squished Hayato. They seem to be having far too much fun at his expense. Hayato, desperate for some relief or at least a distraction, calls out to their leader. Kanga-san, you say something too. He hopes the senior officer will bring some order to the chaotic back seat, but Kanga-Takaru has a different take on the situation. Kongu just smiles as he drives, telling Hayato that complaining would be asking for divine punishment. After all, having a flower in each hand, two beautiful girls by his side, is a position many would envy. Hayato realizes he's not getting any help here. Resigning himself to his fate, Hayato looks down, blushing slightly. He supposes he can consider this a reward in its own way, though the embarrassment is almost as painful as the bumpy ride. It's a brief moment of levity before the real work begins. The Jeep finally pulls up, and the team steps out to face their destination. The entrance to the labyrinthine cave looms before them, a dark, jagged maw in the side of the mountain. The playful atmosphere from the car vanishes instantly. Hattori Suzuna scans the entrance, noting that she doesn't sense the presence of any strong monsters nearby. However, Sarenji Reika isn't reassured. The air coming from the depths feels gloomy and nasty, carrying a heavy, unnatural chill. Let's go, Kongu commands, his voice firm. He leads the way into the darkness, but not before giving a final, sobering reminder. Don't forget Kokuri's prophecy. The threat of death is no longer a distant warning. It's a shadow walking beside them. As the team disappears into the cave, they're being watched. From the swirling shadows within the mountain, an unseen entity observes their arrival. So, they've finally moved, a voice whispers, echoing through the dark tunnels. A shadowy figure with glowing eyes materializes in the gloom, focusing its gaze on the group. It recognizes them as the Special Countermeasures Unit, the very people sent to stop whatever is lurking in this maze. The entity smirks, confident in its own power. It boasts that in all of Japan's SCU, there is no one who knows its weakness. This mission was a trap from the very beginning, designed to lure them into a place where they have no advantage. Dozens of glowing eyes and sinister grins appear in the darkness above the team as they descend. Go, and rot within the labyrinth I designed, the shadow sneers. Hayato and his team walk deeper into the trap, unaware that the maze itself is alive and hungry for their lives.